Good evening, families. Welcome. My name is Alejandra de la Torre. I'm the Family Engagement Program Manager in our school district. And here with us tonight, we have Mr. Gil Diaz, who is our Language Support Services Director. We have Ms. Lori Kearns, who is our specialist at iReady. And we also have Ms. Catherine Oxhorn, Ms. Nereida Guerra, who is our right hand at Language Support Services, Ms. Valerie Villarreal, who is our assessment coordinator for our elementary level students. And with that, I'd like to give the microphone to Ms. Kearns, who has a lot of just such relevant information for all of us. Welcome, Ms. Kearns, and the microphone is yours.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Lori Kearns, and I live right here in the Inland Empire, and I've been in education for 35 years in surrounding districts as a teacher and as a site administrator. And as a principal, we used iReady in my school, and it really supported the students in differentiating their instruction. So the purpose of tonight is going to be a quick half an hour, and we want to leave plenty of time for questions, but we understand the power and the need and the pleasure of having parents as our partners, and especially in these COVID-19 times when there's absolutely so much going on and we have these outside stressors. So thank you very much. We so appreciate your support, and hopefully I'll be able to give a foundation of information, and any questions that you have, I'll be happy to answer. So as we go on.
Lori, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. This is Gil.
No interruption.
I am getting a lot of, on the Q&A, I'm hearing of a lot of folks that cannot hear us.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out, just make sure, folks, when you log in, that you are accepting the use of your audio on the internet, via the internet. If you're clicking on the call in, you'd have to call in from either a mobile device or a landline. But when you log in, it'll ask you, do you want to use the internet audio? Please select yes. If you did not do that, I may suggest that you log out and log back in and attempt it that way to see if you can connect the sound to your device. Ali, I don't know what else we can do. There's a couple folks that are still saying they can't hear. So I'm not hearing anything. Oh, now they're saying they can hear us. So
yes, some of them can hear us. So
good.
Perhaps, like you suggested, Mr. Diaz, if parents who cannot hear us can log out and then log back onto the meeting, that would be a great approach. Also, I would like to reassure parents that this meeting is being recorded, and it will be posted on our webpage for the reference in the future to just reference information, and also perhaps to make other parents aware that that information is available to them. So I believe that's what we can do.
Yes, I think we're ready to roll.
Okay.
Okay.
Apologize for interrupting, Lori.
Please, it's always an opportunity to hopefully help someone. I started looking at my control panels, but I don't have it because I'm on your system, so I wouldn't be able to help you. Okay, so this is our agenda tonight. We're going to get a foundational of what iReady is in personalized instruction, and then we're going to explore iReady resources at home, because Curriculum Associates has been very proactive, anticipating that this might happen, unfortunately. And so we want to be able to arm parents with a lot of information so that they're feeling more comfortable with all of us as collaborative partners. And then we definitely are going to look at the questions and answers. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So what is iReady? I mean, iReady, we used to say, are you ready? And all the kids would say, iReady. So iReady is an online program, and it's for reading and math that's going to help your child's teacher determine your child's academic needs in reading and math for their personalized learning, and they're going to monitor the growth and progress throughout the school year. So it's an online program. They'll take an adaptive diagnostic, which is kind of like a test, but it's not graded at all. And once they finish the assessment, one in math and one in reading, then they will get an individualized instruction pathway specifically for what they need for their learning. And so it already allows your teachers to meet your child exactly where they are, and that will provide that actionable data that will increase their learning gains. And especially now with such a learning loss and so much unfinished learning that has taken place, it's very important that we be able to know exactly where each student is performing in both math and reading. So, right, I'm going to try to take, Gil, I'm going to try to take you off there. Okay, so the iReady diagnostic, it's adaptive, meaning that based on how your child answers one question, it's going to give them another question, either more difficult or easier, because we want to pinpoint exactly where their learning is. So it's going to adjust to suit your child's needs. And the purpose of the diagnostic is not to give your child a score or grade, but just determine exactly where their learning needs are so that we'll be able to differentiate or provide a different level of teaching for every single student. So you're going to hear this 3 or 4 or 5 times tonight. Please, when your child is taking the assessment at home, do not help or assist your child, because actually if you do that, what would happen is you're kind of harming them in a way that, which we would never do intentionally, but in a way that we would think that their learning is higher than what it actually does, and the program wouldn't be able to work the way it's intended to. So basically, when they get the diagnostic and it will show up on their screen almost like magic, they're going to start off about a year below their current grade level with a question. And the diagnostic will go down all the way to pre-K level. So if you're a first grader or kindergarten, we'll have pre-K questions. It's standards-based, college to career readiness standards, and it will go 3 years above their grade level. So if you have a 4th grader, it's conceivable that if they're really bright and answering well, that they're going to get questions that could be in 5th or 6th or 7th grade. And they're not expected to know these questions. So if they have an older sibling or mom or dad who's helping them, then the system is going to think that they already have that learning, and they're not expected to. And in fact, the expectations are they're going to get about half the questions correct and half incorrect. That way they're going to be able to gauge their learning. So if they get a question correct, they'll get a little bit more difficult. If they get that correct, it'd be a little bit more difficult. And then if they get it incorrect, it'd be easier. So it's just going to flutter till we get an actual performance level in the 6 domains of reading and the 4 domains of math. So here's our reading domains, and then here's our math domains. And so once they get finished with the diagnostic, then automatically they're going to get a personalized online instruction pathway. And this isn't, their personalized instruction is not going to be where they're going to sit at a computer and just stare. It's engaging. They have to, there's scaffolds for success. It's actual teaching based on their, the answers that they choose on their lessons. So it's going to provide students with lessons based on their individual skill level and needs so that your child can learn at a pace that's just right for them. The lessons, they really are fun, they're interactive, and they're engaging as they learn. So if you have a child that's in kindergarten through 2nd grade, their dashboard will look something like this. It will be pretty basic, and their teacher will let them know if they're going to do a reading or a math diagnostic. And when they're done, if the teacher does have the ability to assign lessons, but for the most part, we want them to be working on the My Path, which is on the right side of their dashboard. So their upcoming lessons will be My Path, and that's their individualized. And then we also have, my progress, and you have the ability to see their progress. So if you're walking by and you see your son or daughter working, you say, hey, show me your progress. And they just click down in the bottom middle of their screen, and you'll be able to see right off the top how many minutes for the week. Because that recommendation is 45 to 60 minutes a week per subject. And you'll be able to see the lessons passed. And right above that My Progress, you see there's a rectangle that says completed work. And if you click on the completed work, you'll be able to see all the lessons and the percentage of what they passed. And they get to play around a little bit. They get to choose a study buddy and a background, and they get coins if they pass a lesson. They can change those coins in for games. And then this is an upper grade for 3 through 8. Again, they choose the subject. Very similar in format to grades K2, My Path on the right-hand side, and teacher assigned lessons on the left-hand side. This is their My Progress, and they have My Stuff. Oh, this is a picture of My Progress. We're under completed work. So you will be able to see the lessons, the date, and if they passed. And anything above 70% is considered passing. So this page has a lot of information on it, but it basically just reviews what we went over on your student's dashboard. And Alejandra will be sending this out to you. And it just says, okay, number 1, oh yeah, what'd she say about My Progress? And what'd she say? One thing that I didn't show, number 5, it says learning games at the bottom. And those are math learning games. And I have a slide in here. And we want them to play learning games, but those don't count toward their minutes for the week. But learning games is going to build that math fluency. In fact, there it is. So there's the math learning games. It's next to My Stuff on the bottom. And of course, when kids see games, they're going to want to play the games, but not at the expense of their instruction, where their needs are to fill in those gaps of their domains. But the games are fun to play, and the kids just love them. So what we're going to do now is there is a website just for parents. And if you can snap a picture of this page or write it down, I'm going to take you to the Family Center. It's just i-readycentral.com/Family Center. And we're going to go to that right off. And I'm sure Alejandra will either drop it in the chat or she'll email it, or it's definitely linked to the website. And because we would like to get 100%, I know that's a lot, but the majority of parents to visit this website. As you can see up at the top, it's in English or Spanish. And right in the middle, it just says, has your child been asked to take the diagnostic at home? And you're going, yes, they have. What do I do? And then click here for guidance. But before we go there, I just want to keep scrolling down a little bit. And this is the end of the page. But the bottom left-hand side, there's a big bucket. What is iReady? And then there's facts and questions. You can find more information than you ever wanted to know. In fact, you could become an iReady expert by looking at these facts and questions. And then how can you support your student? But if we were to go up and click here where has your student been asked to take the diagnostic at home? Now this is the golden ticket right here, because what comes up is a video. And the video is, I think, 6 minutes, 53 seconds. It's less than 7 minutes. And you definitely want to watch this video. It's very family friendly. It's made from Curriculum Associates, but as a parent. So he's talking as a parent to parents on what you would like to do and what needs to happen and what to look for. So please, please, please watch this video. And as you scroll down, on the left hand. Oh, by the way, if you keep scrolling down, it's right in Spanish. The video is in Spanish, the checklist, the iReady Family Center is also in Spanish. But this checklist, every single person in this district dealing with iReady has a checklist. For example, district office has their checklist, and then principals have their checklist, teachers have their checklist, and families have their checklist. And the reason for this is not a time that I train a lot of teachers for us to go rogue. We want to be very organized and sequential because it is absolutely critical to get that clean, accurate, valid, reliable data so that your child can be appropriately, perfectly placed in their personalized lesson pathway. So, and we're actually turning it upside down because we know the groundswell of success is going to be because of our parents and parents like you or that are taking time out of your busy evening to watch this. And so the very first thing on that is familiarize yourself, watch the video. And then as you get organized, and it just gives you a checklist. You can say, check, I found a quiet space, check, I've determined a time. Well, actually the teacher is going to be telling you the time. The correct login information. I mean, there's a lot of details that we need to ensure that we have the answers to in order to be successful. This is not an easy feat. And so we so appreciate your partnership with that. Gather pencil and paper, especially for the math, and then prepare and motivate your child, and then support your child. The second page, let's see if I can make this. Here's the second page. I'm just playing around here with my computer. On the second page, there's supportive phrases to use with the students. So these are, I told the teachers, they're also good for teachers, but these were meant for families. So if your child says, why am I taking this? You can say, oh, the diagnostic helps you find out just what you know, understands what you are ready to learn, and will help you get just right lessons. Or if you see that they're rushing through or they're moving too slowly, it just gives you some prompts as to what you would want to say to your child. You know, Alejandra, I'm going to try to get back to my PowerPoint, and I don't quite know how to do that.
Oh, okay. Well, are you on a Mac?
No, I'm not. Oh, there I am. I think I'm
there you
back.
are. Oh, yay.
So what you'll want to do is, and I apologize.
We know more than we realize. That's beautiful. And that goes for parents too. Yeah, we have to be genuine and organic here. So
and
this is
everyone's, yes, our learning curves are straight up, and this is a new platform for me. But, you know, I think the word of the year is grace, and we've just got to pivot and be flexible. And then we have to laugh. We're going to do the best we can. So please visit your iReadyCentral.com Family Center. And again, here's the checklist that we just looked at from the website. And it's just a wonderful document, very supportive. So I kind of made this. I don't think it can be much clearer, but do not, please refrain. You're going to want to help, especially if you don't want, they're not failing. Please do not look at it if your child might be whining or I don't know this or this is too hard. It's okay. Tell them it's okay. It's the Goldilocks effects. Some questions are too easy, some are too hard, some are just right. But we need to find out exactly that which they don't know, so we know what exactly they need and we can help them. Our kids are going to be all over the spectrum with their extended, unfinished learning and the learning loss from not being in school. I mean, so please do not help your child. And here's another little checklist about being able to, yes, I can help them log in. And you'll get direction from the school and from your teachers to navigate the dashboard. We gave you just a high-level brief overview. But what I tell the kids and I tell my teachers, scroll and click. You can't break it. You can't break it. Scroll and click. You cannot do damage to this. What learning activities they need to complete by their dashboard, and then how your child's teacher is going to stay in touch. I'm sure there's so many forms of communication, be it websites, text, email, all calls, peach jars. There's just lots of communication. And we're not going to leave you out there to wonder and worry also. On the Family Center, the right-hand side, it was all on technical help. This is an 800 number that if you are experiencing technical help and they've just got to get on to take it, you call them and they will answer and they will help you. They are there to help you because they realize that this can be stressful and we want to eliminate as much stress as possible. So again, these were the 3 buckets of information on the Family Center. And there's guides, there are introductions for students, slides for them and PowerPoints, and there's tutorials. And also these tutorials, they're YouTube. So it will give you a guide for technical, but also a YouTube. So with that, I was told to make it a half an hour to 40 minutes, but we have plenty of time for questions. I will stay on as long as you have questions. I will do my best to answer them. And if I can't, I will definitely find out the answer and get back to you. So Alejandro, do you want to take it back?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing.
Alex, so one of the questions on the panel on the Q&A is the Chromebooks that were assigned to students, will they have the browser capabilities? And the answer is yes. All of the Chromebooks handed out to students will have the ability to host or give access to our students. So hopefully that answers that question.
Thank you. Another question, and this Dr. Hyder, we would like to welcome Dr. Hyder to the panel. We had difficulty getting him to join us, but we're thrilled that he's here. He has many of the questions that parents have. And one of the questions, Dr. Hyder, is if students will be utilizing iReady during their school day, or is this going to be extra activities for them?
So I don't know sorry, I missed most of the meeting, so I don't know. So what we recommend is 90 minutes and again, it may be less for kindergarten or first grade. For say 2nd through 6th grade, we recommend about 90 minutes for each subject per week, no more than that. Teachers will be assigning. So most of the activity we hope will be happening during the instruction time, but students have flexibility of doing it other times if they want to do that.
And Dr. Hyder, for students whose teachers may not be assigning tasks, they will have those lessons that are based on their results of the diagnostic, right? And I see Ms. Kearns nodding her head yes.
And in fact, I know that within Colton Joint Unified School District, we have experienced users, second returning, and then we have first year pilot. We actually don't recommend that teachers assign grade level, that we allow the program to work as its intention is to fill in the gaps and to help kids catch up to grade level. So if they don't assign any lessons for a few months, but just let them work their pathway.
Okay, well, that makes more sense based on the intuitive nature of the platform, right? Okay.
So yeah, and if I may just add, teachers have the option of assigning, and I think some teachers who are more familiar with the program may be assigning extra things because it may be a little extra practice for students. So it will be a big mix of both depending on how comfortable the teacher is with the program and how comfortable the student is with the program.
Absolutely.
Dr. Hyder, a couple questions from the panel is when will the testing start?
So for 1st through 6th grade, testing starts next week, and teachers will probably give students a schedule. And we are hoping that teachers will be monitoring, like be present during testing. And I'm sure you have mentioned parents, they can help them with the technology piece, with the logging in piece, or any other things like questions like where to click in, where not to click, and things like that. But obviously, we don't want parents to help with the content, because that will not give the result that the students need. The whole goal is not to grade your students with the program, it's to provide the right help that the students need through this program.
Great. And Dr. Hyder, can you clarify again, when you stated the 90 minutes per subject per week, the difference between the diagnostic and what you're recommending as to the 90 minutes per subject per week?
So the diagnostic is the test. So the test will take approximately 2 weeks for students to do, like depending, the teachers may decide to do English language arts the first week, math second week, and on. So they will have, it may take, the testing may take, depending on where the student is and what grade level, it may take 2 days, it may take 3 days. Once the testing is done, then the students will be given the pathway based on what the diagnostic results show. At that point, we recommend students use the program no more than 90 minutes per week for ELA and math. Teacher may assign less than 90 minutes in class. It's okay if students use, like if the teacher says, okay, I'm assigning 50 minutes during your instruction. If you as parent decide, okay, I want my kid to do a little more after 1 o'clock when school is over, or during weekends, whatever you feel comfortable as parents. But we also don't want any student doing 5 hours, 6 hours. 20 minutes is enough, because we don't want students to be too overloaded or bored with the program.
Thank you, Dr. Hyder. Another question that keeps coming up is, will iReady take over Go Math or Wonders? So can you please explain the difference between the two?
Sorry, repeat the question again?
Sure, no worries. Is iReady taking over Go Math or Wonders, or is it supplementing?
No, this is a supplemental program. Go Math and Wonders are still our primary curriculum that teachers will be using for instruction. The iReady is to do both. If your student is advanced, it can, like if it's a 5th grade student and they're working at 7th grade math, iReady will take them to that level and assign them topics or skills that are 7th grade level. If they are 5th grade but struggling a little bit, it will find their gaps and assign them work from 3rd grade and 4th grade level. So if teacher is not assigning any lesson, iReady will follow its own path and work with the student, but the teacher also has the option of assigning specific lesson. So no, it will not replace the core curriculum. The core curriculum stays the same.
Well, and if I might add to that, what iReady is, it's a differentiation program that really does support the students in catching up to grade level standards. And so if to work outside that 90 minutes for the math, the math games that are just new last year and they're new for 6th graders, the math fluency, they're fun. You as adults, well, I love them. I love, playing the math games. Let them play those as soon as they get their instructional minutes in.
Another question is if iReady will be replacing Lexia this year.
No, this year we have, because not all our schools have iReady, and some schools are still learning iReady. So hopefully by the end of this year, we'll make a decision on whether we will go with iReady for all schools and replace Lexia or not. But at this point, most schools, again, there is some variation, just want to make sure you're all aware, there is some variation from school to school, but most schools have both Lexia and iReady this year.
Another question is if dual immersion students will be using iReady.
Gil, you want to answer that?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I was typing a response.
Will dual immersion students be using iReady?
So I believe our K2 will not be using iReady. 3-6 most likely will be using iReady.
Okay.
And the reason for it is right now iReady is testing English, and we start transitioning into the English side of the house starting in 3rd grade for our dual students.
Okay.
Just to add to what Mr. Diaz said, the K2, Mr. Diaz, the math, they're going to do the math.
The math,
students
yes. Thank you for
are-
clarifying that.
Yeah.
And this question might be for Ms. Carnes. How do parents know how well their students are doing? I know you referred to that visual that we're going to share with them. But is there an easy way for parents to discern, has my child done or completed all the just recommended minutes for the week?
Well, and the parents do have access to the child's dashboard. And so whenever the child is on, they can look at their dashboard and just click, down at the bottom so they can see my progress and they can see the lessons they've passed. The teacher also has incredible reports that will be available to them that will tell them exactly where each child has scored in each of the domains of math and reading. And if they're above, if they're right on, or if they're a little bit below. And the teacher will also have additional resources to support individual and small group instruction to support. So they not only get their online personalized lessons, but the teacher will have resources and tools and lesson plans to support students that scored similar. So most of these reports also are PDF, and the teacher will be able to print them off or email them to, so each student will get an individualized assessment report. Did that answer the question?
I believe so. Yes. And then we have parents asking if you can speak to the duration of the assessments that the students will be taking. So they'll take one for reading and one for math.
Yes. There's
How would this be chunked?
Well, there's about 68 to 72 questions on each one. And the teachers, the recommendation is that they chunk them into times, because we know that after 20 minutes of sustained attention to taking an assessment, we have test fatigue, or they start just not caring. The two main criteria to get that valid, reliable results are effort. We want their best effort, and they need to know why. So before the students are actually take the assessment, the teachers, we've prepared and motivated them with there's a PowerPoint presentation. So during synchronous time, whatever video platform, and that would be a good time for you also to sit with your child as the teacher is explaining the program and what it's going to look like, and how there's a video on how questions are going to be too hard and too easy. So if we chunk it as a principal, we did iReady Diagnostic a half an hour, 4 times the first week. So maybe 9 to 9:30. And the majority, I'd say 95% of the kids were done. They finished it. Some will finish, and it's not timed. So some will finish sooner, some will finish later, but the teachers also have a report that's going to tell them exactly in real time what percentage the students are. So if the teacher sees like they maybe have a rushing Randall that's 95% done, and the other kids are about 30%, because she can just pull up that computer on her, pull up that report on her computer and see where the kids are. So like Dr. Hyder said, 2 weeks, 1 week, it's not a solid week. It's just a chunk, 15, 20 minutes at a time, 3 or 4 times, and they'll be finished with it.
Great, thank you, Lori. So another question out there is, will the link be on ClassLink, Dr. Hyder, or do they need to go to a website to access iReady?
So the students will access through ClassLink.
Perfect.
Now, another question is, what happens if the student is taking the diagnostic test and there's a failure with their connection to internet? Is the system recording their answers and they pick up where they left off?
Yeah. And in fact, there's 3 different ways. So exactly where a child left off, they can either close down their lid, they can walk away and the screen will say, hey, are you still there? Or they can X out. But after each child would go through a tutorial at the beginning of math and reading, and then wherever they are, they just X off, they close down their lid, and the next time they open up, it will resume exactly where they left off. So if it's a power failure, anything.
Beautiful. And Dr. Hyder, students won't need a code to access the application, right? It's just double clicking on the iReady icon in their dashboard, which is accessed through ClassLink, correct?
Yes, correct.
Correct.
I read a few questions. I don't know if those were answered. Can I try to answer them?
Please, by all means.
Absolutely, yes.
I don't see any, so.
Yeah, I'm looking at them and I don't know. So I saw some questions about kindergarten. So because kindergarten students are new to our site and so we want to give them ample time to get comfortable with their teachers. So they will start testing like the third week of September. I believe it's September 21st or 24th. And for kindergarten, Lori, Ms. Kearns was nice enough to give me a login. So I logged in as a kindergarten student and took a test so that I knew what our students would be exposed to. So it actually spent almost 10 minutes explaining to students with lots of fun cartoon characters and stuff. Here, do this. So for the first 10 minutes, it basically teaches the students how everything works. To me, I think the kids will respond to it better than us adults because it's their world of clicking and moving things around. And for kindergarten, everything is read to them. So they have a microphone and it reads the question, it reads the answers and they pick. So I won't try to read anything in addition to what the system is doing. As I said, if there is any if you feel that your kid is struggling, not knowing where to click, I doubt if that will happen. But if it is, then you can show them where to click or how to hear, but don't read any questions to them. The system will read it for them.
Well, and Dr. Hyder, I'm certainly not going to throw you under the bus, but, he just, taking a kindergarten diagnostic is fun. And I think they're fun and the kids enjoy them, but it's very simple with the directions and it's rigorous. It's a very rigorous assessment, but it gives incredible, great information for each individual child.
I see another question. And by the way, the parents, thank you again for, I'm sure other people have said, it's nice to see so many people, more than 200 people here. We really appreciate all your support. So I think it's great that we have so many parents involved here, and I'm loving all the questions here. They're like really good questions. One question here I see, Shauna Simon, if assessment is over. So what we are saying is that don't help your students during the assessment unless it's a technology piece. Now, when they're doing the actual program, you can help, but be cautious about how you help. Don't give them the answer because that's not the goal, because if you just give them the answer, they have not learned anything in the process. If you really are sitting next to them and you have the time, ask them questions. Okay, how do you think you will solve it? Where do you think you can find the answer? Can you use any of the information you've done in your other work to find this? Give them strategies to come up with their own answer. Don't give them the answer. Ultimately, if something is too difficult for them, they will make a choice and they may click incorrectly. And I think what the program does, and Lori, feel free to add, when they're not in an assessment system and they're just learning, the system will then prompt them, this is not correct. So we'll tutor you or help you to fix it. You want to add more to that, Lori?
Well, they won't during the diagnostic, but But what I coach the teachers when they're monitoring is I tell them G and G, guess and go. So we say it's going to be, you're either going to know it, you're going to know the answer with a little bit of effort, and we want you to put effort in, or you're not going to know it because it could be 2 or 3 years above and you've never been taught it. You're not expected to know it. So you'll put your answer down and move on with a little bit of effort or with no effort. And if you have to sit there and really, 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 don't do that. Just almost guess and go, because then the system will come back. During the lessons, it will give you feedback. You will get feedback during the lessons, but during the diagnostic, there's no feedback for the students. Did that make sense?
Oh, certainly, yes. And there's a parent asking if this is like extra tutoring. If you have mentioned that having iReady is like having your very own private tutor, right?
It is, you know, and I mean, I'll stay on till 9 o'clock if anybody wants to talk with me, but it's because some of the lesson principles that are in place is one is called scaffolding and growth mindset. The system will not allow the child to go on not knowing the answer. So if they make a incorrect choice, then perhaps one of 4 answers will be taken away. If they still don't respond appropriately or correctly, then perhaps they'll highlight where the information is. If they still don't respond, so it's teaching while the lesson is going on. And then what happens is we have the lessons, we have instruction, and then we have practice, and then there's a quiz. And the teachers will get information on the quiz. And again, like I said, we want them to pass with 70%, but they've got to take that instruction and practice and then transfer it over to the quiz to be successful. So they've got to keep engaged and into the lesson. They just can't blow it off because they know that ultimately your private tutor will give you the answer.
Some of the questions I noticed is that how much time. So obviously we said the 90 minutes is not in one day. It will be spread throughout the week. Now the teachers will be communicating with your students and with you as to how many times students, they may do iReady 3 times a week, or they may do 10, 15 minutes every day. Now, if you feel that the teacher is only assigning 60 minutes of iReady a week and you would like your student to do a little more, you are welcome to do that, but just so that everybody knows, just let the teacher know that, hey, I'm really interested in this program. I would like my students to spend 10 more minutes every day on this, just so that the teacher knows why Johnny is doing 90 minutes, whereas everybody else is doing 60 minutes. There is no harm doing 90 minutes a week, but just let the teacher know that you're all on the same page. Because as you know, for many of our teachers, for almost 10 school sites, it's new for them too. So they don't want to just assign a program to their students. They're also learning the program as we go. Another question, this program is not just for GATE students. We have it for all students. It's for special ed students too. So, but again, be cautious. The usage will vary from classroom to classroom because this is still a trial year for many schools. You have to give teachers some time to get comfortable with it as well.
Well, and for GATE, I want to stress, this isn't necessarily an enrichment program, it's an acceleration. And that's what Dr. Hyder had mentioned, that it will take the child, if they're bright and if they've already mastered the content standards, and they will take them on to the next grade level or next area, but it's not, acceleration is different than enrichment. They'll accelerate them, definitely.
Another question I see, will students who had iReady passed repeat the diagnostic? Yes, there is a diagnostic every year based on the grade level, and there will be 3 diagnostic. One is beginning of the year, then we'll have one in December in the middle, and then finally in May to map the progress. And what our teachers do, again, none of this data is used for grading. What they look at the results, and they will group students and give them the help they need. So not only are the students being supported by iReady, the teachers may also do small group intervention, and more so when we get to live learning. But even now, teachers may be doing small group and providing them extra help with whatever area that they may be struggling.
There's another question. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Lori, there was a question. Did you teach teachers the GNG? A parent is very happy about it. She wants to make sure teachers know that.
I did. I know that you wanted that very consistent, but we also have a resource in iReady Central that Craig, and it's called Put It Down and Move On. So I'll be happy to send something out to all the teachers or all the principals to forward to their teachers, because we have had concerns, especially from those experienced, that it takes forever. It shouldn't. Don't let it. If you have a perfect Patricia, she's not going to get, or he's not going to get all the answers correct. The nature of the assessment, half correct, half incorrect. So I'll put a note down to make sure I send out those 2 resources to the principals.
There was another question about distance learning and hybrid learning, students receiving different instruction. That it's a little different in high school. I'm not sure about, but in elementary, whether you signed up for distance learning or hybrid learning, everybody is receiving the same instruction at this point. It may vary a tad bit if you have a teacher from a different school. That we are still trying to sort. If you are, say, a student from Cooley Ranch and you are being taught by a teacher from Bernie, there may be a little issue. We are trying to figure all those things out. But for most students, the instruction should be exactly the same as distance learning, whether you signed up for distance learning or hybrid learning or elementary. The diagnostic test is the test to basically figure out where the student is in terms of their learning, so that the system can decide how the students will, what kind of work student needs, what kind of standards they need to practice, what kind of skills they need to practice. This was a parent, I think she missed some of the presentation.
I'm reading a few questions with parents asking how to get to iReady. And we already shared with them that it's through ClassLink. Would we show, do you think it's a good idea to show briefly on the screen how to get to ClassLink?
I think that will be a good idea.
Okay, would you like me to do that, Dr. Hyder? Or would you like to do that?
No,
Yeah?
I want you to do that.
Okay. Okay, parents, so I'm becoming more and more comfortable sharing my screen. Initially, I would just freak out and tell my boss, no, I don't want to share my screen. And he would say, but it's part of the job. So here I am offering to share my screen.
Transparency.
So transparency, absolutely. This is a moment when we need to be even more honest than usual, because all of us are getting out of our comfort zone. And just as you parents feel out of your element, maybe when you sit down with your child at home and they're going through a lesson, we are also out of our comfort zone, but that's a good thing because that's how we grow. So you get to our webpage, which is colton.k12.ca.us or cjusd.net, and you find this button. This button is your friend. So you click on it, and the drop-down menu, the third item is ClassLink. So you click on ClassLink, and you wait for it to appear, and it's going to give you an option to sign in with Google. I'm already signed in, and so this is my ClassLink. Your student will have the applications that are assigned to them according to their grade level. And also in here, when you go to the backpack, here you can see apps that your teacher has assigned to their group, because those are apps that they will be using. Anyways, when you go to ClassLink, this is a good folder to keep in mind, because this is where your child sees their email, where they enter Google Classroom. And so this is where you find iReady. Let me see. I saw it earlier and I don't see. Oh, here it is.
There it is. I'm touching it.
Yes, sorry. So this is where you find iReady. So this is basically when your child goes to ClassLink, your child is entering where they have their tools, where they have their access to anything that's related to education these days. And I hope that having shown you this is helpful. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And so that's how you get to iReady and to other applications that teachers are assigning to your students. And also just reassuring you that any application that we're using goes through a very intense process that our information and technology department follows to make sure that we are protecting your students' information and that these are applications that are vetted to make sure that we are treating every platform that we assign to your student with the utmost respect and genuine care for their well-being and their growth. Anything else? Do we have more questions? Mr. Diaz, Nere, Ms. Villarreal, Dr. Hyder?
Gina, I see a question. I just figure out how to show them all. I recommend showing parents where the learning games are. It's right on the kids' dashboard. At the bottom, there's like 4 different buttons, and it will say learning games. So it's right on their dashboard to the right at the bottom. And then when you take them to learning games, only the games that are appropriate for their level and their grade level will show that they are a blast.
Thank you, Ms. Carnes. A question I saw, I don't know, honestly, if this was addressed, but I had a parent who had a question of if a teacher notices that the student is not making progress through iReady, will they contact the parent? Or is this something that we are expecting parents to check periodically? And how will they discern that their student is needing to do something differently?
That's a great question, and I think that's something that is being discussed at the sites and within the district. If a teacher sees that the student is not progressing in the diagnostic, then whatever communication means they have, text, phone call, email, video conferencing with the student, being in their ear to encourage them and to prod them along. Or if they see they're not being successful in the amount of minutes, because they also have a personalized instruction report every few days they'll be looking at, then whatever communication you have set up with your child's teacher, to see what their expectations are, then that will happen.
Thank you.
Lori, were you planning to show the learning games? Because I think that was a recommendation from the parent. Are you able to show them where the learning games are on the dashboard?
I tried, Catherine, there. I would have to, it would take me a couple minutes. It really is because I would have to go into a PD side and pull up a child's account and then go in as a child. It really is on their dashboard on the screen, the very bottom, the right-hand side. There's a little icon that looks like a little tangram fishy, and it will say learning games. And then they'll click into that, and all the games, I showed you, all the games that they can play are on there. And there will be some times that a teacher's going to recommend that they play Hungry Fish or Cupcake or Pizza. And depending on the skill level and the fluency of the mathematical concept that they need some support in. So these are very research-based, but they are fun to play. I mean, I'd be happy to do another training. No, I'm taking that back. No.
There is another question. How about students that are learning English? Will they have to take the test in English? So iReady does have a math test in Spanish, but we are only opening that for Grimes. So if there is a specific concern with a specific student in a different school, please do let the teacher know, and we'll see if we can open that, the Spanish math test for the student. The English test, of course, is in English. So that's something that the teacher and the parent and student will have to work out. If a student, even if the student knows little English and is able to answer some of the questions, they can also learn a little bit English through the program. But if a student is just new to the country and not familiar with it, then maybe it might be better to wait a little bit till they learn a little basic English, then go on iReady instead of trying to do a program in a foreign language. Mr. Diaz, would you like to add anything to this question?
Actually, you've hit all the points, Dr. Hyder. I think, like I said, If there are any concerns at any site in regards to a Spanish-speaking student with difficulties in English, please do reach out to, number one, obviously the site principal or your teacher, but at some point they will notify my office and we will be more than happy to support.
Well, and please know that when Curriculum Associates and iReady, with all of our lessons and the diagnostic, they were built and created with English learners in mind also. So when the diagnostic is on, the students will have the ability to scroll over a microphone to have it read to them all the way up to 5th grade in math. And so they can just scroll over and the program will read, because we want to make sure they know the math. We're not testing English skills, but even our lesson design of online lessons was built with English learners in mind. So it's very intuitive, and I think you're going to find a lot of English learning will take place as a benefit also of the program.
I see there's a teacher here asking about Lexia and iReady. We actually, I will be happy to answer teacher questions to the teachers directly, but we have a plan for everybody will be taking iReady in those schools that have iReady K6. And Lexia is a supplemental program. Ultimately, our goal is to decide on one program. So we want everybody to do as much iReady as possible and less on Lexia, unless you don't have iReady. That would be my recommendation for teachers.
And there's a question, how far can my student advance above their grade level? They can go all the way to 8th grade, but it is a K-8 program, so all the way through 8th grade.
And sorry, not related, but I know many parents have this question. Hybrid learning, when will hybrid learning begin? We don't know. That's basically based on the number of cases in the county. So once we get a signal from the state that our county is in like a later level of stage 3 where we can get students back, that's when it will be. So you will probably hear it local news before you get confirmation from us. So it's definitely based on the case count of the disease. Not in middle school at this point for iReady. I think we are good. Or are there more questions, Ms. Alejandra?
I believe we have answered all the questions. I have a question here about high school that I'm going to ask this parent to email me, and we can take it to that level. But I would like to say that this has been a productive meeting. Anything that you would like to add, Dr. Hyder and Mr. Diaz, Lori, before we adjourn the meeting? We have about
I just want to say thank you to all. It was great to see so many parents join us this evening, and I wish you a great evening. So thank you so much, all.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Dr. Hyder, do the honors.
Same, thank you. It was great. I was glad I was finally able to join in, but I'm just impressed with the level of questions from parents and your involvement in your students' education. I know it's a challenging time for everybody, including and especially for the teachers, because they're also learning lots of new things. So give them lots of grace as they learn this process, and we are all here in this together to help. But I really appreciate your support and involvement. You're a big piece of the kids' education now. So thank you.
Ms. Kearns.
And I'd just like to echo, I know that, parents are the most integral support system, and we're placed in an environment where the educational landscape has changed, and it's not easy. So thank you for your interest. Please continue to ask those questions, and someone will be able to answer them. So as they go around the chain into the schools and principals and teachers and Alejandra and Dr. Hyder to me, and if I can't, then I'll find an answer. So ask the hard questions. So thank you. Thank
you. I would like to add, I heard not a long time ago that parents are like the baking powder when you're making a cake. You can have the flour, the sugar, the eggs, the vanilla, the salt, but if you don't add
Summarize.
baking powder, you compromise how much
Yep.
of how much progress the student can make. So I want to acknowledge our parents. You are continuously the teachers at home and for a lifetime. So we want to be a cohesive team with you. If you get stuck, if you have questions, please reach out to your child's teacher. If you still have questions, if you still need help, please reach out to us. When we work together, our students benefit from it. So please, I know this is a moment of emotion. Some of you may be relaxed and happy at home. Others of you may be experiencing challenges of many just nature, different nature of challenges. But at the end of the day, beyond this contingency period, there is a future. And there is a future for us, there is a future for your child. And our actions today have implications for the future. So let's work together, let's continue to do our best. Thank you for your time. We will post this meeting. Please refer back to it if you forgot something, if you're not sure about something. If you have questions, ask the questions like Ms. Lori said. Ask, keep asking. If you don't get an answer, keep asking. Who is the next person for me to find an answer? And please don't wait. Don't wait. This is a moment in time when we cannot say, oh, I'll ask this next week, or I'll do this next month. And I'll just wait to see. This is not a moment when we wait. This is a moment when we are patient, we are flexible, we learn new things, we try new things, but we are insistent and assertive in making sure that our students receive the services that they need
Yep.
to bloom. And so with that, I would like to thank everyone again. Thank you, Ms. Villarreal, for helping us answer many questions. You
Thank
are
you.
the guru also behind the scenes. We didn't see you, but it's great to have you here. And also Ms. Guerra, who is always there with us. And with that, thank you very much. I'll
Thank
stop the
you.
recording button. Ms. Jones, it's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. I'm sure we will be talking.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Have a good
Bye-bye.
evening.
Good evening, all. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.